Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, neighborhood fam. My neighbors, what's good? Hit that like, drop a share, spread the word through the hood. Scripture Sundays at night, we break bread on the line. Zoom call Friday, Saturdays, the word sharper than knives. Tapping face to face, yeah, we linking on the block. Last Sunday every month, pull up, build with the flock. If the spirit hits your chest, so arms, no cap. Send it cash app, the rock yacht, the water for that. I'm pushing graphics, 50 flat limited flip. Turn around so quick, like a brick in the project. Yeah, them 10 commandment chains, yeah, I'm serving the block. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, double sided, come cop. It's ministry and hustle, we ain't playing no games. Plug in, show love, put respect on his name. The water your house, the water your house, the water your house, in Yahushua's name. The water your house, the water your house. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Time for that Pledge of Allegiance, y'all. I pledge allegiance to the Bible of the house of Yahshua, for which it stands, one nation under Yahweh. I'll make it a lamp unto my feet and a light to my path. I will hide your word in my heart, that I may not sin against it. For in your word is freedom and redemption to the house of Yahshua. Yahweh, in the name of Yahusha, I pray and rebuke every spiritual curse that has come upon me and my household, whether visible, hidden, or generational. Let every chain be broken today, and let evil have no right to enter. Yahweh, I declare that our spouses, our children, and our families are covered by the blood of Yahusha. Build a spiritual wall of protection around us so that no curse, attack, or strife can enter our homes. In Yahusha's name, Yada Barak Yahweh.
The only marriage is marriage. We stand before God and get married, and God honors. And not only that, you can't even say, well, we got married on our own, because God says to honor the authorities of the land. So that means you need to go before a world judge, a man, even a non-Christian judge, and get married. Oh, you're not considered married in God's eyes. Because some people say, well, I don't need to go to the court because we got married on our own. That's not scriptural. God says in his word to obey the laws of the land and the authorities. And the laws of the land is that in order to be considered marriage, you have to go get a marriage certificate. So no, it's not considered marriage.
Hey, y'all, I know we got some new changes going on. I know y'all see some things happening. Y'all heard that new intro. Drop a like, comment. Hey, let me know what you think about that new intro. I know it's a little grainy and whatnot, but I ain't got no studio. So therefore, I had to put something together the way I can. I'm going to have to reach out to my brother and see if I can use his studio one time to see if I can make that happen for y'all. Check out the new digs. Check out the new digs. It's been a blessing that's been blessed upon me to go ahead and use this space in which I can bring forth to y'all to have a little better little ambiance, a little scenery and whatnot, especially until I get my fixed location to where I can get my background and my sign up behind me and all of this and all of that. But for right now, it's a little aesthetically appeasing to the eye. So I appreciate y'all for sliding on by. So as y'all know, we're going back to the Sister Karima's thought process on having to go to the courts, having to go to the city, the government, the state, in order to get married. Now we just got a little recap on the video. Okay, again, we're looking at marriage and daily living. Okay, the government versus covenant. Are we governed by the Most High or the laws of the land? Or are we governed by the laws of the land and then later the laws of the Most High? We're going to look at the other verse that the religion of Christianity pushes in our minds. So we're going to go to 1 Peter in chapter 2.
For the sake of the Lord, submit yourselves to every human authority, to the emperor, who is the supreme authority, and to the governors, who have been appointed by him to punish the evildoers and to praise those who do good. For God wants you to silence the ignorant talk of foolish people by the good things you do. Live as free people. Do not, however, use your freedom to cover up any evil, but live as God's slaves. Respect everyone, love other believers, honor God, and respect the emperor.
Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme, or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king.
The context actually starts in verse 11, and it shows our conduct needs to be connected to keep the praise of the Most High at the forefront. This is what this is connected to. This is the context. By keeping his laws and the government's laws, they do not prohibit us from keeping our culture as Hebrews, believers, because we're supposed to be slaves to the Most High, not this government. That's the mindset of the doctrine given to you from the teachings of the slave Bible given by the slave masters. Y'all can go look that up anytime that y'all want. This is why you are not actually a slave to the Most High or to the Messiah. You're actually a slave to your pastor, to the doctrine that they teach, which is Christianity. The so-called slave Bible was created in the early 19th century, and it deliberately omitted large portions of the Bible that could inspire enslaved people to seek freedom or equality by removing those passages. It aimed to maintain a certain social order and justify the institution of slavery. The doctrine that came out of that was essentially one that positioned earthly authority above divine authority, encouraging a mindset that obedience to the government or to slaveholders was paramount, even if it contradicted higher moral or spiritual principles. This had a lasting impact on how people viewed authority, often leading to a kind of hierarchical mindset that placed human laws above divine laws. It also influenced how people interpreted faith and social justice for generations. It's definitely a deep subject that touches on both historical and theological layers. You're slaves to your religion. So the first lesson we're going to look at today is the key terms and definitions related to that verse that we looked at. So first we're going to look at ordinance. Ordinance in the Greek is ktisis or tisis, is to institution, agreement, human law, civil regulation. Human law, civil regulation. That's what it means in this context. So it's for human law or civil. Remember what we talked about in the first session? That was regarding civil laws like taxes and things like that, of that nature, regarding to business operating under human law. The next word we're going to look at is to submit. The Greek word for that is hupotasso, to place oneself under, to arrange in order, not to rebel. If we're going ordinance, which is a human law in this context, civil regulation in this context, you need to submit yourself under these human law or civil regulations and not rebel. Against what? Things like taxes. You can't fight against things like taxes. Now you could if you got the information. And there's nothing to prohibit you from that. But this does not say go against what the Most High said is what. Now, yes, they can have their laws on marriage and all that, but who created marriage? Was it those same human laws or civil regulations, or was it the Most High? We're going to look next at the phrase for the Most High sake, for the Lord's sake. This is not blind obedience, but wise submission that honors the Most High Yah, while not bringing shame to his name. Yes, the Most High wants you to be peaceable among all men if at all possible. Don't cause any harm to yourself. Not blind obedience. So the laws that the human has created and the civil regulations regarding marriage, how they regulate it, they say that you can do things that are abominable to the Most High. So should you do that too? Because that's considered marriage to them. Or should you actually take the time See what the Most High said is marriage and follow that. If you don't get married under their laws, there's no penalty for you. But now if you choose to get married under their laws and go create multiple marriages under their laws, now you go against their civil law, which wouldn't be safe for you because they'll lock you up for that shit. Now we're going to jump down and look at verse 16. As free, which is to be our liberty is in Yahweh, but we must not use freedom to justify rebellion against civil order. That's being wise, understanding that you're free under the Most High's rulership and what he says, but don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. So when it comes to marriage, if you're following the ways that the Most High said to be married rather than the way civil human law says, hey, you're still cool. They don't care. Why? Because the government actually would rather you guys be separated anyway, because it wants all the taxes from you. That's the only reason why it's in your business. That's the only reason why they created a human law and a civil regulation to where they've made up their version of what marriage is, because they want money out of every single thing that you're doing. I know many of you have looked into your birth certificates, to your social security cards, so on and so forth. They got money on your head and you ain't even know it. The second thing we're going to look at is biblical balance. What's the biblical balance? Obedience versus covenant. First, civil order, which is necessary, like traffic laws, taxes, contracts. So like we broke down in the first session, marriage is a covenant, not a contract. Do you see how it's not adding up? Because we're sticking to the context of the verse that people will use when thinking in Christianity or religion. Next is covenant. Now, what is a covenant? It is eternal in regards to what? Marriage, things like Sabbath, commandments. Just examples. Go read the Bible. It will tell you about the covenants that are connected to the Most High, which and who is eternal, which all of his covenants are eternal. We submit to civil laws as long as they do not conflict with covenant laws. Like the example, this government allows abominable marriages to happen. You all know what I mean. Man with man, woman with woman, hey, man with animal, man with a tree, so on and so forth. The Most High does not allow that in his covenant, not in his covenant law. So we stay on the side of covenantal things. So we don't jump to the other side just because everybody else is doing it. That's why you have the scripture that says, don't follow a multitude to do evil. You don't do it. So let's jump into a few scriptures just to see what's what and how to really place things in their proper context, understanding these ordinances, understanding these covenants, these contracts, these civil things, these human law, these civil regulations. So first we're going to go through Matthew 22. Now that clearly says, render unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, but unto Yahweh the things that are unto Yahweh's. That's clearly letting us know the governmental things that we have to do here while we live here. Yes, abide by those things. Yeah, because this is where you live. Cool. But what's the Most High's you give to the Most High and you do for the Most High. That's why it's being made plain like this. So you must follow it. Let's look at Acts chapter 5. We must obey the Most High rather than men. So now this is breaking down. We read Matthew 22 even further with more context. We follow the Most High above the human law, above civil regulations. We follow the covenant law above the government law. Let's go to Daniel chapter 6. Now Daniel, he prayed to the Most High despite the king's decree. So despite the government civil human law of the king, Daniel still did what? Gave to Yah what is Yah's. And what happened? He actually got blessed. A higher seat within Babylon. Him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But here we have it, what the sister is saying, what the rest of the religious Christianity community is saying. Oh, you got to go get your marriage certificate. This is why a lot of sisters are staying unmarried or divorcing or quitting in their relationships and whatnot. Because what? Oh, he got to put a ring on it. Oh, we need to get married. We need to get a marriage license and certificate. Otherwise, it's not real. According to who? Did the government create marriage or did the Most High create it? The government just made a business out of it. Marriage is supposed to be between you, your man, and your father, and the meeting of families at the conclusion in which the woman's father and the man who's looking to marry her come to an agreement. And when they come to an agreement, they sit down and y'all have a feast, party, whatever you want to have. But it ain't got nothing to do with your pastor, nothing to do with your priest, nothing to do with the city, the courtrooms, none of that. Just go find it in the Bible. Once you find it in the Bible, you come back and you let me know. Let's go over to Sirach in your Apocrypha, chapter 4. Now that says, be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. Wisdom in how we resist. So you must use wisdom in the way that you do things. Don't be so hasty to give credit to the government for something that they didn't do. The Most High did this. And in thy deeds slack and remiss. So in your deeds, especially of something like being married, make sure it's connected to the Most High and something spiritual, and not connected to the government and what others are saying that lead to carnal, more fleshly. You have to use wisdom in how you resist. This is going for speaking to the people on this side who don't agree. Now, mind you, if you want to go get married through the state, city, or government, by all means, do whatever it is you want to do, but don't say that that's what the Most High said. Don't say that that's what the Most High ordained it to be, because there's no courtroom interference ever. There's no pastor. There's not even a Levite here to say whether or not you're married. Now, Levites were considered the high priest, the priest to lead the people, but you don't even see them in the mix. So somebody just has to just explain this to me. Now, I've been breaking things down and trying to keep it correlated for what we read in Peter. We're going to do the application in this third part to marriage. First, government marriage. It's an ordinance of man, a human law. That's what government marriage is. Legal paperwork, tax benefits, inheritance rights. These are things that are all made up by man-made, not by biblical standards. It has civil recognition, but not covenant recognition. So it's all about the people and what they see. That's why most women are pushed to think based off of what their friends are saying, what their mom is saying, what their auntie is saying, what all their peers are talking about. Oh, girl, when you gonna get married? When you gonna have the big fancy wedding? When you gonna have this? And when you gonna get the paper? When you gonna get the ring? Show me in the Bible where all of that stuff is. Or is it civil? Is it for the people? Is it from the people? It also falls under ordinances of man, which is in 1 Peter chapter 2, in verse 13, which is tax, your legal paperwork, legal to what? It's not the law of the Most High. It's civil law. So whose law comes first? Now, biblical marriage, a covenant before the Most High. That's what biblical marriage is. Now, when you go to Genesis chapter 2, it says one flesh. Show me where there was a court system. Show me where there was another person present other than the Most High creating this marriage. This is where marriage was instituted, right here in for us beings on the earth. This is where it's instituted. And you go to Malachi chapter 2, verse 14. It lets us know that the wife of thy covenant, a covenant is what? Eternal, connected to the Most High. So when you get a wife, men, that's linked to a covenant to the Most High. But most of you are only worried about that covenant that's on that paper from the state of the government, which assumed the role as the Most High. Then when you go into your Apocrypha, once again, in chapter 7, 13 and 14, marriage written and sealed before the father of the bride, or the woman to be the bride, amongst family, and before the Most High, linking it back to his covenant and the way we're supposed to do things. So here's the key distinction that we need to look at. We may use government recognition for civil peace, such as inheritance and property law. Like when you buy land, you want to pass things off to your seed or your children or your family. You link it in with trusts and all these things to make sure it goes where it needs to go when you have to get your affairs in order. But we never confuse it with Yah's covenant. Why? Because there's been confusion in the world because we are not operating as his people to be in the proper position to put things as they should be. That's why the system of Babylon has to be torn down. These government systems, these state systems and all that has to be torn down. Now, a lot of you that benefit from this system, you will say, well, nah, man, see, you got it all wrong. It don't need to be torn down. We just need to be getting on our ding and just doing our thing. No, we need to get back in line with what the Most High says as his people. And then the world, the whole world, not just this country, but the whole world will start operating like it should. And while you think that life is getting better, it's actually getting worse. It's just you're becoming more okay with sinful acts and deeds. You're becoming more okay with government policy, ordinances, civil laws created by men. So now when somebody comes and speaks to you about covenant law, it starts to ruffle your feathers. Ain't that something? Crazy work. So in the fourth part, we're going to look at how 1 Peter 2 fits in marriage context. Well, first, we submit to civil processes when necessary. Like I mentioned earlier, taxes, licenses, that's what we submitted to. You got to get your driver's license, pay your taxes for peace and not rebellion. So, if you ain't paying your taxes, we all heard what happened with Wesley Snipes. Ain't none of us trying to go through that. And I know we all got some tax issues. Yeah, I got some tax issues right now, but I ain't finna spark no smoke. I'm finna try to take care of that as soon as I can. You got to keep your license clean. Okay. You don't want to rebel and cause no interruption. That's what happens when you drive around without no license and all that and all this. You're causing more stress that you're bringing upon yourself. We don't want that. Next, marriage is not created by government. It's a covenant. It was created by Yah's covenant. He put it in place. So stop giving the government all the credit when it's time for your union to come into covenant, not into contract. Go back to session 1 to see about that covenant or contract. So here's an example. Israelites in the book in captivity still married according to the Most High's covenant, his order. That's when we read Tobit and Sirach. 1 Peter teaches to honor rulers. Are any of you going to go spit in Trump's face? Are any of you going to go kick your local sheriff's car? No. Honor their positions. Cool, whatever. But fear the Most High above all. Above all of them. So why are you giving so much credit to them and the systems that they govern rather than giving the power to the Most High? I'm sure all of you will say that these people in these positions don't give a damn about what the Most High got to say. But here it is. You're going to tell me to go to these same people to get something that's supposed to be everlasting given by the Most High. But they're going to sign their names on it. You got to make it make sense for it to be legit. Because the Most High said that ain't it. Now in part 5, you have to understand that wisdom in daily living is a must. Now, when you look at things like marriage, on your day-to-day life and all these things, you need wisdom in order to operate. That's why the scripture says to be peaceable among all men if at all possible. So when we go to Romans chapter 12 and 18, it says exactly that. Live peaceably with all men. That doesn't mean go out here and break all the rules, all the human civil law rules. No, why would you do that? That's stupid. And you're reacting in a rebellious mindset, which is going to hurt you in the long run. What does it say in Proverbs 3 and 6? In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. If I'm being peaceable among all men, and in all my ways, I'm acknowledging him, and he's going to direct my paths. How could I be peaceable among all men? Now it's time to get married, and I don't acknowledge him. I skip him and go to the government. That's why we have such a high rate of divorce when it comes to acknowledging the government over acknowledging him, over committing obedience over to his covenant rather than giving obedience over to the ordinance and the civil human laws. That's the issue. A lot of us don't want our sins to be pointed out because we don't want to take accountability for all the bullshit that we're doing in our lives. Now it's time to correct all of that. We got to snap out of this. We have to wake up. Marriage is one of the most foundational things that the Bible teaches. That's why it tells us to get our houses in order. But when one of us is being absolutely rebellious, how can we fix our households? Anybody can tell me. How do we fix it? Now, when we go back into the Apocrypha, in Sirach chapter 29, verses 21 to 23, I'm going to paraphrase what it says. Simple living with peace is better than luxury with strife. Most of you are watching Instagram, TV, social media, X, TikTok, whatever it is, and you want this luxurious, lavish life. But you yourself come from a mediocre family. You yourself have done mediocre things in your life. You are not cut from a luxury, lavish background. But yet and still, you will destroy your family because you don't get to have this luxury life. And watch how this works. Instead of you accepting this simple life with peace that can grow, you destroy your life for in search of, or if you're not receiving, luxury. And what do you cause? You cause strife. So you have to make it make sense on why it is that you're doing what you're doing and you expect different results. If you don't come from a family and a life of, this and that, and you ain't put the work in to get the luxury, don't be complaining about you not having the luxury. And for women, you can grind all you want and be independent all you want, but you're more than likely going to sacrifice a family for it. Because the goal of which the Most High said you were supposed to be in was to help the man. So if you found you a simple man living in peace, he has his head on his shoulders, he's doing the things that he needs to do, but he's just living a simple life. He ain't got much. But if you're the one with the money, you should probably help him like a helpmate should. Lift him up. Because when this simple man who sticks to structure, sticks to discipline, you might be able to help him find his gift and his talents. And then that money that you've acquired can go into him. Just like the plan that I have for my daughter. Everything that I will put into my trust for my daughter, Most High will, it will be for her husband. My daughter's only job is to make sure that she's ready for that time, for that husband. So then when she does get that husband, there's an unlocked potential to go for her and her husband to help him continue to build up. And what I give for her to him, I'll lock it in the trust to where they can't even sell it. It's locked to him and for as long as he lives. So I'm watching out for my daughter and for him. It's up to her to make sure that she does what I'm telling her to do and not follow in the footsteps of those before her that have made bad decisions. Even like myself, because that's what we're supposed to do as parents. For the last section of the class, we're going to focus on this session 2, a little discussion. Here goes some notes. So hopefully talk amongst your people, take it to your church members or whoever it is that you congregate with or around. 1, ordinance. Ordinance is man's agreement, according to 1 Peter 2:13. Covenant is Yah's eternal agreement, according to Malachi 2:14. Next, you need to submit to laws for peace. Submit to your government laws, your state laws for peace. I don't want no problems. Okay, they say do this, do this, do that. Okay, cool. What goes on in your house doesn't matter. You tell me where they got a law against you being with your girlfriend for 1,000,000 years and never signing a government contract with them. That's the same thing as having your own covenantal arrangement for your marriage under the Most High rather than through their court system. It's the same thing. Now, here goes some discussion prompts to talk about. Now, you can propose these as questions or you guys can talk about these things, whatever have you. Should believers, or as I call myself an Israelite, today get a government marriage license? Why or why not? Now, me personally, hey, it's up to you. It's up to each individual. But sisters, know this. You got to follow the man's lead. So enough with all this masculine, toxic energy you keep bringing into the relationships that you want to control and lead. That man, if he's with it, okay, cool. But if he's not with it, and he says, no, we're going to have a covenant under the Most High's teachings, and we're going to abide by that, you better not frown up at him, because that's a man following the Most High and his ordinance. He doesn't have to follow what your mom and your friends or even your dad says. No, he doesn't. He follows what the Most High says, and hopefully he's articulate enough to where he can break it down. And hey, brother, hey, sis, if y'all need somebody to come sit down and talk with y'all at the table about this, show them these sessions, session 1 and session 2, or you can even hit me up and, hey, if I can make it, I'll slide through. I'll explain it, because we have to get back to covenant law. The next discussion question: how does 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 16, as it says, as free, not using liberty, guide our attitude towards civil laws. Because you shouldn't be using this as something that overlaps the Most High's law. You should be using it just as it says. It's civil. These are civil things. Go back to, you can see clearly these things are civil laws regarding things to keep the peace. So what is your mindset? The last question. How do we keep peace with rulers without letting them define Yahweh, the Most High's covenant? Well, that should be simple. Don't break the civil laws. Pay your taxes. Don't run stop signs. Don't be speeding. No indecent exposure. Don't be drunk and high all out in public. Don't be stealing. Because see, that's how they get y'all. Oh, well, see, they say don't be stealing, and the Bible say don't steal, so that's why we got to follow the civil law. You see how they do it? They add other laws in on top of some biblical laws. And they say, oh, that's why you need to go. That's why you need to do everything through them. No. You do the things that pertain to you. You make sure you don't do. If you're out of pocket, you're out of pocket. Let's all stay in pocket, while keeping the Most High first, His law first. So let's summarize this class up for y'all. 1 Peter chapter 2, it teaches submission to civil order, human law order, for the Lord, for the Most High's sake, not blind obedience. You cannot be blind to where you're giving your submission to. And you need to understand how to give your submission. Next thing is marriage is covenant. It's not contract. Government paperwork may serve civil order, human law order, human law ordinance, but the covenant belongs only to Yah. You've actually made little covenants in your life where you said, God, I'll never do this again. I'll never do this again. Please let me do this. I will never do this again. The problem is you weren't serious. Now, something as serious as marriage, which should be an eternal, everlasting thing, you don't treat it with the respect and the reverence, because everything in your life, the government says you don't have to keep going and quit. That's why y'all run to the government, because the government gives you a bailout to cause more wickedness. It gives you a bailout for the woman to bail and go from man to man. But 9 times out of 10, it actually does more for the woman than the man. Puts the woman in an equal sort of stance to where women run to the government and they throw their man in the trash. So these are the things that we have to be mindful of. Next is balance. Live peaceably under civil law while keeping Yahweh's commandments supreme first. Don't cause no problems, but understand that you stand on business. What business you standing on? The Most High business. You be sure to share this to the people to get us back in unity. Make sure that we equally yoked under the Most High rather than living on a lie. Y'all know who it is. It's the Rosh Barak Yah. It's your neighborhood Hebrew. I appreciate you for tuning on in, for listening in. I hope this learned you something, because we all need to get our minds right, circumcise our heart, renew our minds. That's the time that we're in, and we're running out of time to get our families back in line. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, neighborhood fam. My neighbors, what's good? Hit that like, drop a share, spread the word through the hood. Scripture Sundays at night, we break bread on the line. Zoom call Friday, Saturdays, the word sharper than knives. Tapping face to face, yeah, we linking on the block. Last Sunday every month, pull up, build with the fly. If the spirit hits your chest, so arms, no cap. Send it cash app, the rock, yeah, the water for that. I'm pushing graphics, 50 flat unlimited flips,
Turn around so quick like a brick in the projects. Yeah, them 10 commandment chains. Yeah, I'm serving the block. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, double-sided. Come cop. It's ministry and hustle. We ain't playing no games. Plug in, show love, put respect on his name. Whity Yahweh, the Whity Yahweh, the Whity Yahweh, in Yahushua's name. The Whity Yahweh, the Whity Yahweh. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome, 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 welcome to the neighborhood.